Welcome to This Oughta Be Good. I'm DJ Mordecai, joined by my co-host Samazon Prime. What's up, Sam?
What's up? Salute.
And we got our special guest, Mr. Voodoo, in the
Yo,
house. What's up, Mr. Voodoo?
no doubt.
Mr.
What's up?
Voodoo.
How you doing?
Salute.
Salute, 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 salute. Everything good, man. Everything good. All things
Glad to
considered.
have you. Glad to have you here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that.
So I want to go
Why
ahead
not?
and jump right into it, if that's all right.
Sure, why not? Let's throw it.
How did you get into radio, or like what made you interested in it? Like, were there any other radio DJs like you remember listening to growing up, or?
Yeah, but you know what? I really didn't think I would ever be doing anything in that capacity. I wanted as a
Yeah.
childhood thing, I wanted to be a DJ, but
Hmm.
it was too expensive. I just wasn't willing to sacrifice and buying records and equipment. So I wanted to be an MC. But my journey always, it began with radio. And even as a young teenager, staying up late, listening to Mr. Magic,
Mm,
because I go as far back as, Mr. Magic when he was on WHBI with Marley Marl.
Hmm.
yeah.
Um, let's see, Awesome 2,
Hmm.
um, DNA and Hank Love. I'm like,
Hmm.
this is history.
Hmm.
Um, DJ Red Alert on 98.7 Kiss, Master Mix, Chuck
Yeah.
Chill Out. Even some of the P Fine on Columbia's radio station. So my journey and the infatuation and the love with the music and the culture, it began with staying up those late nights and
Yeah.
tuning in to all of those radio shows. But when I never imagined that I would ever be in the capacity that I was. That actually came around through an interaction with an older Earth, may she rest in peace, Rosalind Blair, who had contacts with people at WBAI and Pacifica Radio.
Hmm.
And at the time, it was a young guy named Jay Smooth who had started Underground Railroad. And
Mm,
it was burgeoning and it was doing its thing. And he already had his co-host who was Z Black, my man Trevor Baldwin, who we developed a relationship in the history later on. We might be able to get into that. But
yeah.
so me being introduced to that through Miss Blair began my journey as being first an intern there and learning how things did, and then kind of easing my way into actually being able to get on the microphone and bless that microphone with Jay Smooth,
Hmm.
the
So
Underground
the
Railroad.
so for people that maybe aren't as familiar, like I know a lot of people know you from through Natural Elements or
Mhm,
the solo
mhm,
work,
mhm,
Mr. Voodoo or the Agu or even some of the newer things. How did
mhm.
how did the radio how did the radio kind of side of things happen in conjunction, like in comparison to you as an MC? Was that start before, or did that start kind of during, or in like the later '90s, or
Um,
when?
yeah, you know what it was. I actually had been on the MC side of things before I started the radio thing, but it was kind of just me uh, going up to the studio, building with other people in my clique, recording, linking up with Charlemagne. I had already linked up with Charlemagne, and we had already began that journey. And so the
Yeah.
radio thing was just a way for me to keep myself busy and be in the culture and stay away from some of the other things that's going on in my neighborhood and with my
Yeah.
friends and things like that. So, the radio became another way that I could focus that creative energy,
Hmm.
and then what happened was I kind of like finessed my way into the rapping side of things because they didn't really know that I was a rapper at Underground. Jay and
Mm.
Trevor didn't know that. But at
Yeah.
one time we had went to his crib and we were playing around and I was like, yo, can I kick a rhyme? And I kicked a rhyme and they was like, oh, snap, people
Yeah.
gotta hear this. And so that's how I gradually, transitioned into that part of it.
Yeah, you definitely have a powerful voice. I mean, you definitely have a unique voice. I mean, you hear Mr. Voodoo start spitting, and like on a Natural Elements record, you definitely know when it's you rapping,
Oh,
or
thank you.
you'll hear a
Appreciate that.
guest spot. Yeah, your voice definitely has that kind of like that power that just the enunciation and everything. I think it's one of the things that makes
Appreciate
you.
that.
And by the way,
Appreciate-
on a similar note, was this your first time on Wax, or is there some before this, or what's the story with
That's
this one?
Come Off Hard Part One,
Yeah,
with 45 kicking it live on the flip side. And that was actually
yeah.
the first time ever that I had been on Wax. That is the first time that I was on, pressed up on Wax. There was nothing of me on anything before that. That was truly, an out the trunk thing, and us getting together and people who were willing to, friends that were willing to invest, and they saw that there was something there, and they put
Mhm.
something into it. And that is the culmination of all of those years that I had spent developing my art and everything, and learning how to write, make songs and stuff like that. So yeah, that was the first time I had ever been on Wax. Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
that's a valuable piece of plastic you got there.
He's
I'm
got a
man.
like,
few.
That's
He's got a
oh,
few of those.
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
that's
It's a
honestly that. No, I didn't
yeah,
mean to cut you. I was just saying that's my wheelhouse. The
yeah,
mid 90s indie
mhm,
joints, especially
right,
East Coast stuff. And
right.
you know your whole camp has I mean, so many dope records.
Thank
Obviously
you.
you yourself,
Appreciate it.
but
Yeah.
yeah, everybody else, Swift, like people that even the solo thing, man. I mean, your crew is definitely picking up a
Yes.
lot of momentum. You could tell.
Yes. Yeah. 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 And that was the that was that's the home camp. You know what I'm saying? They became more than just like people that I was making music and creating with, you know what I'm saying? And a
Yeah,
bond and a rapport came there. And it was a funny process to get to that, because I wasn't really a candidate for the first person that they wanted to put out. You got to understand, there was so much talent there in
yeah,
that little attic, you know what I'm saying? So they had a hard time like figuring out who they wanted to go with. So it was a culling process. And I remember that they had us one night, we was up there, and they just had us like, yo, L, boom. You know what I'm saying? But L was a little young, so that I don't think they wanted to really deal with that at that moment. You know what I'm saying? They
yeah,
wanted to give him a little bit more time. They said G Blast, boom,
yeah,
Tim, boom. And then I came and I said the Decepticon rhyme, you know what I'm saying? And that kind of like blew it out the water for them. And they was like, yeah, we're going to go with that. And by the way, you got to kick that rhyme on the record. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So it wasn't a plan to have that rhyme on the record, but it was like, nah, you got to put that rhyme on the record. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Who
that
who
was a
produced who produced both sides of that?
Charlemagne, of course, Charlemagne, all the
Oh,
way. Yeah, both sides,
so
the remix version, the original,
Yeah.
or both. Yeah, Charlemagne, all the way.
we want to bring in Charlemagne.
Awesome.
Charlemagne, you there?
Ah,
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, yeah,
hey,
yeah.
respect,
What's going on?
Charlemagne.
All right.
No doubt, no doubt.
Figured we bring him in a little bit early, since he was
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
A
Appreciate you
nice
joining us.
a little bit
surprise.
later.
Nice surprise. Beautiful surprise.
I want to be wherever you are, man. You look like you're
Yeah.
relaxing
I'm in my
outside, man.
mom's house actually. I was
Man, I want to.
visiting my
Yeah,
niece and nephew over here.
yeah.
Yeah, respect.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
So,
beautiful,
so hey, this would be a
beautiful.
perfect. This would be a perfect time. We were just talking about just kind of rehashing some of the early history. I was
Yeah.
about to
I heard.
ask
And
what was it?
actually,
What was the story?
funny thing is like each of us have our memories because it's like he will fill in a
Yeah,
blank where I forgot, and I might fill in a blank where he forgot. But for the
yeah,
most part, what he's saying is just your actual facts. Everything happened the way that he said it,
Yeah.
and it was the same thing. It was like a vetting process. You got to remember, I think even
Yeah.
KA said it on his interview, because you got to remember at that time, the work rate I was doing was crazy. I was just into
Yeah,
it so nuts, and I
yeah,
had at least 9 MCs, and everybody had to
yeah.
leave with a song
Crazy. Yeah,
that
it's
on that
crazy.
Saturday. What I'm most proud of is that I kept those guys out of trouble, because you got to remember the times when it was like, early 90s. Everybody wants to be, like a dealer and whatever, you know what I mean, get in the streets and get in some trouble. So to give them the outlet to rap, that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? If I saved a few
Mhm.
lives and I encouraged a few people, I did my job. So,
Mhm.
it was cool.
So
Definitely.
was that Fortress? So was
Yeah,
Fortress
it was
kind of like
Fortress Entertainment.
that's kind of like the
Absolutely.
umbrella that you all operated under. So that was like strictly for the NE like type of material.
Yeah, that didn't happen till later. Like any didn't,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
form till later.
Yeah.
It
But
What
formed
would
later.
become?
just a group of
Yeah.
9 loose MCs who
Hmm.
thought things kind of like the Wu-Tang thing. Because when I saw Wu-Tang
Yeah.
on that series, I was like, yo, that's kind of our
Yeah.
story as
That's
well.
our story. Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
everybody came from
That
different places.
resonated with me because that was definitely our story. It was a bunch of MCs, that came together and built a rapport. We were recording, we was together every joking, snapping, and then MCing, building our art, developing our talents, And yeah, Shaw was on it. He had 9 different people and he was cranking out beats and we was on it like, yo, we not leaving here without a song in our pocket, without a tape in our pocket that we could take back and brag to people and be like, listen to this, look what we did, Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Sound like almost like a steel sharpened steel type of thing. Like I know they
Yeah.
talked about
Absolutely.
that in the I know they
Truly.
talked about that in the Wu-Tang show. Like it's
Yeah.
almost like everybody was trying to get attention
Truly.
in their own way, and you obviously had to bring
Truly.
something unique to
Truly.
stand out.
We done chased many people out of that studio thinking that they was coming in there with some heat. And we was like, nah, you got to get out of here
Yeah.
with that. And no, 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 no. And it was just completely that honesty that was there, that like, yo, Voo, that's dope, but yo, you need to do it like this. Or yo, okay, God, that's
Yeah.
dope, but yo, you could, yo, boom. And we, still sharp and steel. We couldn't come with nothing weak. We couldn't come with nothing whack.
And it's also a learning process. Because a
Yeah,
lot of times it was like nobody really knew song structure. I was studying the radio and looking at what was happening at the time. And
you
then
can
I
tell.
like the first record was what, Come Off Hard. You just said that.
Yeah, you can
And if
tell
you
with
look at
that
Yeah.
the time,
record.
that's like 6 minutes and seconds, and for like 42 seconds. Little did
Yeah.
we know, like, that's not radio format. It's like
Yeah.
3-4 minutes at tops, you know what I mean? But I was
Mm-hmm.
taking it
Yeah.
from, because I come from even the older school era than Mr. Vu, because I remember when there was like 20-minute records with like super rapping and super
Yeah.
And
rhymes, you know
it
what I
just
mean?
kept
Yeah.
going. It kept going. It
Then
kept
you
going.
have where they'd have a rhyme on
Yeah.
side A and side B, they'd continue to rhyme. They'd be like,
Yeah.
let me pick up the
Yeah.
story from
Rapping and rocking the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to wonder listening to that. Damn, is this gonna ever end? It's so dope, but it's like,
Yeah.
damn, we could just go on and on forever and ever. And that's true because when I did come off hard, even after all of that time spent in the studio, we didn't really have a concept of bars. We understood
Right.
that a song needed concepts, it needed fresh lyrics, it needed even possibly a good hook, but we didn't understand commercially like how that goes and how you can mess up your airtime if it's too long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was a
Yeah.
learning process, definitely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
learned the
That's
hard
it.
way because it was all radio would play it, but they would cut it off after the
They
second
would cut
verse.
it off, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's something that I think Drew and I probably just as DJs, I think it's something we definitely relate to too, because I'm always like, man, I want to let this song ride. Like this is great. But then,
Hmm.
not everybody's got the patience for the whole thing. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
some of
yeah,
those old school records, you could definitely put them on for like maybe go like 12 minutes, you can take your bathroom break, something like that, and just
yeah,
still
yeah.
spitting when you come back.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
Yeah, I saw in the J Smooth like Natural Elements interview. I think Charlemagne, you were talking about kind of teaching everybody kind of song structure and bars,
Definitely.
hooks, and
Yeah, yeah.
and also I
Yeah.
watched the interview that Mr. Vu did with journalist Sincere. So shout out to him and on that
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight
interview.
up. Yeah,
Definitely
definitely.
recommend
Yeah.
people
Shout out to
watching that.
Sincere for
That
sure.
kind of gave me, I knew some of the history, but it kind of helped solidify everything. And that one you mentioned, like Wild Style, really got you interested, like in the true hip hop, kind of beyond like Sugar Hill Gang. Are there any other movies that like really energized you or excited you about
Yeah,
hip hop? Or
yeah, there were. But I put Wild Style because it was just raw, and it actually resonated with me because that's what I was seeing. You know what I'm saying? That's what I
Yeah.
was seeing. I was seeing, even the scene with the brothers outside, like A to the K, A to the mother. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's like I'm from Brooklyn. That's what I'm seeing. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You
Yeah.
go to a party, the stick up kids are outside waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
then the rawness of the live, and I'm and in my like in Brooklyn, we was only getting the tapes. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? We was only
Oh
getting
yeah.
the tapes. We wasn't seeing this. So as a little kid, when I'm like seeing Cold Crush, Fantastic Freaks, Busy Bee. We only getting the tapes.
Yeah, putting a
It's the
name to
So
first
it.
time
to
seeing what
see,
they look
yeah,
like.
Yeah.
to see that it bugged
Yeah.
me out, and that
Yeah.
movie did it for me. After that, it was just like Beat Street was cool. You know what I'm saying? That was cool on a commercial tip. You
It
know,
was
and
Hollywood.
um, Star Wars was the graffiti thing. You know what I'm saying? And so, as an artist, I kind of knew about the graffiti thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was definitely that particular movie that did it for me and made me be like,
Mm.
yo, this is dope.
How about
This
for
is
you,
dope.
Charlemagne? Was there
Yeah.
anything that really like,
Well, for
really
me,
you were like, oh my
I
God,
was
wow, like drew
I
you
was
in?
already into hip hop earlier on.
Hmm.
Like I immigrated here from the island of Saint Lucia,
Hmm.
which just got famous because of the Olympics.
Yeah, we're home.
Mm.
Yes,
I
definitely.
immigrated
Peace to home girl. She did her thing.
to New York in 1976, and I just happened to go to one of these. What they used to have the West Indian Day Parade, Labor
Mm.
Day, and I'm walking around, and somebody in a brownstone was cutting up that First Choice, that You Treat Me Right, that.
Mm.
Treat me.
Hmm. Like
I'm
Chub
like,
Rock, I
yo,
think
Dun,
sampled that, right?
dun, dun. Yeah, right. Sub Rock
Yeah.
used that.
is this?
Hmm.
This is crazy. I fell in love right there. That was it. That's all I need to hear.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
my brother bought equipment. He was the one who actually introduced me to all that other stuff like Cold Crush and all that. He was already outside doing all of that, but he brought the equipment, and to his detriment, he went and chased girls and left the equipment alone. I took over. I'm like, great, thanks, buddy. I got this.
Yeah,
I'll
Mm.
yeah.
take it.
And I've heard that from so many. I've heard that from so many DJs and producers, especially about the equipment. Especially starting out. How do you get all this stuff? But it seems like the uncle or the older brother or the dad, it's like they sneak in there and they're putting in work, like whether or not they're, and like next thing you know, just
Yeah, my
it's
brother had
interesting.
the equipment. I'm glad you said that. My brother had the equipment, but my stepfather had the record collection.
Mm.
So
Mm,
later
Oh
on,
yeah,
when I started sampling, I'm like, yo, I went through his record collection. I'm like, I need this record.
mm,
I would just sneak out one by one. So you got to figure maybe he had like 300 records. Like he's not gonna miss 5. Let me just
Mhm.
grab, and then he won't even
speaking of
notice. Yeah.
speaking of speaking of sampling, one of my I don't know what it is about it, but one of my favorite cuts that you guys did um didn't come out. I guess it was like an unreleased track, maybe around the Tommy Boy time. But that song, Secondhand Smoke.
oh yeah, yeah.
So I got a bootleg. I get this bootleg 12-inch. I guess it's the only way you could get it on vinyl until you guys put the album out recently
Hmm.
or a few years
Hmm.
ago.
Hmm.
And man, I love that, especially the production on that song. I think I might have even DM'd you about it, Charlemagne, at one point. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, what is this? What is this? What is this sample? And it's not online or anything. I was at the flea market one day,
Mhm.
and the dude was playing. I won't say the artist, but he was playing the song. I was like, holy shit, that's the cut.
Yeah.
And I ended up
Yeah.
I still I
So
Yeah,
still play it, slow jam.
yeah,
I still
right,
play
yeah,
it,
right. Slow jam,
yeah.
but the little trick about that, because now you have all kinds of equipment that could do anything. Back then, you got
Yeah.
to remember, I had a 16-second sampler. I had the
Yeah.
worst sample rate. I had the Casio FZ1. And the trick about that, how I got that sample to sound like that was I had to go to the mid. You know, when you when you DJ, you have the bass, the mid, and the treble.
Yeah.
So while I was playing, I played with the mid to give it that wonk 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 sound. So I sampled while I did that.
Kind of like that dreamy, kind of like
and you hear that
the tremolo, the tremolo thing, vibey thing.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I didn't know that.
Crazy. That's
I know
crazy.
now you probably get a plug in or do something to get it to
right.
sound like back then I was like, how do I get it to do that? So I'm like,
man, there's
and like play with the button and like, but you had to do it on time too. Like I could sample it, but is it going to be on time to the beat? Won't. So
that's
a process.
That's a great example. You know, I was talking about one of my buddies has like there's a 909, like they've reproduced a 909, like the you know what I'm saying, that I guess that was the SP 909 or the TR 909. You know what I'm saying, the Roland 909.
Yeah, rolling TR 909. Yeah.
So I guess they've just recently started. They made like a retro version of it, so it's digital, but the workflow and all the buttons are like the original machine, but it's like reliable, like electronics, and it's digital and stuff now. And then we were just talking about that, and I was like, you know, it's amazing, like how I've got all these tools, even though I'm not really a producer, but I got an app on my phone that's pretty robust that can make beats. You know, it's like there's all these apps on the computer that you can make just about anything you can think of, but it seems like having those limitations on the older equipment took it to the next level for anybody that was really creative, because it's almost like when all the possibilities are endless, it's hard to find ideas. It almost seemed like some of the beats you guys were making, some of the production you were making with that limited equipment still holds up.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because what it is now is that, like you said, when you have limited options, that's what hip hop was about. If you think about it, I don't have a band, but I have these instrumentals. Now, if I keep them going, I get the people going, and if I get a rapper to say how great I am, DJ whatever is in the house at an echo chamber. Now it's a party. It's a whole different sound that nobody's ever heard.
Yeah.
And then I could beat the next one because I have different records than they do.
Yeah.
And they find the records.
Yeah. And we always
people were hiding labels on the records.
So people couldn't see.
White label on top, so you can see what record I'm cutting up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We were always using, this equipment, and we was always using these things in ways that they weren't supposed to be used, and people don't really understand, don't really get that what these guys were doing, man. It was so ingenious because they're using this equipment in ways that it wasn't intended to be used, but they're creating something dope, And the essence of hip hop, that's what made it so special. It's like, yo, what is these kids doing? Why they spinning the record like that? Why are they sampling and using samplers? These is drum machines. These ain't samplers. What is it? They're not supposed to be using it like that. But we did, and we created something dope.
But even think about it, is an art form, right? But what happened is that we started sampling, nobody knew nothing about it. All of a sudden, the record collectors saw that hip hop was using samplers. Now all of a sudden, this record costs $75. This record costs $100.
Yo, Shaw, you remember when we was going to the conventions and they was hitting us like that record costs $100? We was like, what?
I get like that record like a sample. I can walk out here with money.
It was like, what? They caught on. They figured it out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and from the DJ or the hip hop just aficionado side of things, I love those original samples, because to me, like let's say for example, I'm playing a set at a bar tonight, vinyl set, just soul music, funk stuff like that. I could be bringing these cuts out. To me, it's giving me memories of hip hop and stuff. And if you know it, then you know it. But to everybody else, it's just a cool like soul song.
Yeah.
But it opened up music to me just exponentially. I think about all the times I was checking for music and I just bypassed all this stuff. And now to know how hip hop is related to all these things, it just totally expanded my mind.
I think that we actually created music discovery without actually knowing that that's what it was that we was doing. You know what I'm saying? Because because to take the time to find the samples, you have to go out and you have to learn and you have to listen to these records, and now we're discovering different genres of music that we never was ever in contact with before. We're discovering prog rock, we're discovering jazz, we discovering all of these things, and it was kind of like music discovery without us really knowing that that's what we were doing, and we brought that to the world. You know what I'm saying?
My question is kind of tailing off of Sam's, like, not so much maybe a question, but more of a statement. Like, 2 Tons to me is like just such a dope beat and sample flip, and then Bust Mine too, like crazy dope beat, like really thick, like sonically.
I like Paper Chase. I like Paper
deep,
Chase better on
deep
that record.
bass, nice kit. Like, I guess the question is, like, I don't know if you can share it. Like, I've always been curious about like the movie clip from the Name and Element, Water, Earth, Fire. But if you can give a hit, even a hit is fine. Like, you know, just to get me in the right direction. Like,
ready, because it's like it is what it is at this point. Like, it come after me now. Like, yeah, really? For what?
I was guessing the Kung Fu flick.
Actually, no.
it sounds like Lawrence Fishburne to me. But I don't know.
My process at the time. All right, so at the time, you gotta remember who we had out there as far as producers. You had Q-Tip doing all the jazz stuff. You had Marley Marl. You had forgot who else was out there at the time. Help me out. Who else was out
there?
You got Primo,
P-Rock, and I'm
Digging
like,
in the Crates crew, all of them. Large P, Extra P.
And what was dope about them, they all had, you know, that they all went digging, like their name said. They went digging to look for records like 60s. They never did anything modern. You know what I mean? They never took anything modern. My idea is like, I don't care if it came out yesterday. If I find a way to flip it, I'm gonna do it. You get what I'm saying? So, and I said, what could differentiate me from them? You know what I mean? At the time, it was like, what could I do? What I used to do, and I think I said this on a couple of joints, but it's a process that no one else has ever done. I've never heard nobody else do it. What I used to get was I had a VHS player, and I used to get the old like when they had kung fu movies, it graduated to the gun ballet movies, you know, like The Killer, Hard Boiled, and stuff like that. I used to get those movies, and they had music in there, and I had a RCA jack going from the VCR to my cassette deck, and I'd have those things on cassette, and I'd bring it to the studio, and then I would sample it. So that's why some of them sound really dusty and low frequency, because I'm not even sampling a record. I'm sampling a tape of a bootleg gun movie. I'm putting it on tape, which it loses more quality, into a sampler that has no quality, like 16-bit or something. So that it's a little crazy, which is probably what they call lo-fi now or whatever, right? So,
but it fits.
Yeah,
it fits the music. It fits the music.
Right. So when I did, when I was coming up with Bust Mine, HBO was just popping. HBO was popping, and they had this movie called Tuskegee Airmen.
That's what. I remember.
And
that was where it came.
Like, yo, name an element: water, air, earth, fire. I direct your attention, and I'm like, yo, perfect. That's it right there. That's it right there. That's the intro.
We gotta go ahead.
You know, we were always like, we did stuff with how do you say that? Like, not intensity, like intently, like for
with intention.
Elements, we studied it. Like, what are the elements of water, air, earth, fire? Like, we put it all together. Like, we didn't just do like, what is natural elements? Somebody asked us, we don't know what it is.
I didn't even make the connection that it was natural elements. That we talking about the elements. It took me a minute to really think about that. I was like, wow,
that was dope, because that's what we wanted. We didn't necessarily want it to be like, that's it. It was more figure it out. I'm telling you what we are, you know, and I'm giving you a clue. Water, air, earth, fire. Now, if you put it together, you understand these are the natural elements. You know, when you say what's an element, and then for the meat of the record is I was watching this movie called Beyond Hypothermia. It was a gun ballet movie about this female assassin, and she meets like a regular dude who sells noodles, and then when she goes to the noodle shop, that part is playing in the background. And I grabbed it. Then I put it together. Bass line I played the bass line to that, and of course chopped up drums, kick, snare, all chopped up. And then when I put it together, and that's when I was like, yeah,
It was
this is
crazy,
right. It sounds like something.
crazy.
I think
Yeah.
Prince Paul used the VCR on 3 Feet High and Rising, I think. And
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. It's like
Yeah.
I like
Doom.
another one that don't get mentioned a lot, and I think that's
Yeah.
what it's like when I think like somebody like Prince Paul and the people who put albums together like Dr. Dre Doggy Style and Biggie Smalls. The first album was that I forgot the name.
Ready
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 to
to
Die.
Die.
You know, when
Yeah.
you put the album together that's cohesive,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you want that all to connect. So that's why you look for
Yeah.
samples like in between and like
Mm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't do albums like that no more. It's just a bunch of loose
Man.
songs. So
Man,
but
yeah, 100%. People used to kind of talk down about skits. Like people used to, man, get these skits out of here, just like skipping over the skits. But some of the best albums that really stuck with me had skits that tied like the theme together. Like I was actually, it's been a while since I listened to Liquid Swords, and my son
Liquid
is kind of at the age.
Swords was the
Yeah.
one that impressed me too was the Raekwon joint, the Purple Tape.
Oh yeah,
They
Cuban
Purple
Link.
Tape.
in
Purple
between.
Tape. Yeah, Cuban Link.
And
Only those Cuban Links.
I put it on so my son could hear it, because I feel like I gotta expose him to like the staples, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And as I was listening to it, I was just thinking like, man, these clips are so incredible,
Mm-hmm.
and like the in between, like the way it ties the tracks together is such a thing that like I never really thought about, but it makes it so much more than just a collection of songs. It like it's an experience. It's an experience.
And you got to remember, like the skits, like there were catchphrases, there were things that became, a part of the vernacular of hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
The vernacular, of it is the skits are very important. Like you talk to kids and they're like listening to it and they're like, oh, so that's where that came from. Yeah, it came from that skit,
Yeah, Prince Paul was definitely a master with the skits and the interludes and stuff like that.
I give props too, because you got to remember, like, first they were Wu-Tang, right? And then they turned into Gambinos or whatever. But before that, like Bobby Steele's like, oh, what's in the briefcase? That had that skit right before the song came on. So that they kind of progressed to something, another entity.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We just in context, it enhanced the concept of what the group was, the feeling, the whole thing that we were trying to convey with the music and everything, that hodgepodge of words and pulling this from there and there, it creates, the whole soundscape, the whole bedscape that we can put everything on and lay it down on and make it really nice for people to listen to,
I appreciate the reveal, the sample reveal there. We had a couple people check in too. I want to big up Ill Omen DNB, Aaron from back in the day, and Craig from Rap Lies and Videotape checking in.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't want it to turn into a Charlemagne interview, but I did want to ask one other thing. I think I heard you say you and Muggs were one of the few to use the Casio FZ1.
Yeah,
I think T Ray used it too. That's the Ferris Bueller keyboard, right?
I'm trying to remember. I have it. I have the clip. Dude on MTV. I forgot the name of the group. They were an English group, and they just triggered it. Just the one finger sample type thing. I put it up. When I find it, I'm gonna put it up on my page because, I was amazed that they had it themselves. And I know Muggs was, and you might be right on the TV thing too.
It was Ferris Bueller's keyboard, right? He had it too, I think, in the movie.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this.
Great.
People, because you remember, what's it? Beat Miners. Beat Miners had filters, but you could kind of hear the sound while the bass was playing. Can I tell you that the FZ1's filter was so amazing? It just went straight to the bass line. It was like a stem. It just I could get all the way to the bass line. The only thing was the frequency was so low. But now I'm sure if I had it now, someone could master it.
Frequency, bring that up.
People do stems anyway, so I can't even. It's not, but at the time, it's like, all right, I gotta have the sample on one thing, and I gotta have the bass all the way filtered out because that's how great that machine was. I mastered that machine.
It was. That's what made Hemlock so dope. The way that it was able to filter out that thing, that bass line, that way, that filter underneath that just made that song that beat so crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think T-Ray said that too about the filter. I want to get into the discography, and Sam kind of
Sure,
kicked us
sure,
off
yeah,
with
sure. No problem.
the Come Off Hard. One thing I wanted to ask about was the promos, the like hype sticker says also on maxi cassette. Did it come out on cassette?
Yeah, we did. We did have a yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we did.
We did. We did have a max. Yeah, we did. We
You
did.
got any
I
left
remember
over?
I remember passing those around in promos and hitting
Hmm.
spots with that. I don't remember if they were actually in record stores or anything, but yeah, we pressed up
Yeah.
cassettes. Yeah, we definitely did.
You got a box left around
Hmm.
the house?
I don't know.
Yeah. The one thing I gotta make clear, because I remember I was on some other live, and I think I don't know, was somebody was trying to argue with me about Raucous being the first independent. I'm like, no, we were the
Nah.
first independent record label in New York, and we were blue collar. We didn't have no financial backing. It was just people going to work every day, trying to sell records, to make money to sell more records, sell money to make more records. Only blue collar, hip hop underground label. Some people had street money, and Raucous was by I forgot was the dude that
That was
dude
Rupert Murdoch's son, I think, or something
started
that
Yeah.
related to him
Right.
somehow. So he had
seeded
seeded
money.
money,
That's what I'm
seed
saying. So
money. You know what I'm
our
saying? That to help
like
him out with that.
please don't tell me nothing about no hip hop in New York underground label. We were the
Yeah.
first. That's it. There's no argument to that. So
Jumped ahead. Did you do the art too, Mr. Voodoo? The
Yeah, I
logos?
did that. Yeah, yeah. Like I was
Yeah.
earlier talking about the graffiti part of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
That
weird to hear
played a
that.
part. I was never really into graffiti art and hitting tagging up trains, but I am formally trained as an artist. I went to LaGuardia Music and Art, and so art
Okay.
was my thing.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so when
I
we
know
did this,
that. No.
yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
when we were going to do the thing, it was a big thing to have your logo and have stickers and everything. So I kind of like huddled off and went into my thing and started trying to construct something that, people would look at and be like, what the hell is that? You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
that's the thing. And I was like always, and that was the thing that I came up with. I don't really remember how I conceptualized me being behind a sphere, but I always wanted to make it look like I'm like this roots doctor cooking up something in my pot. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or cooking up something in the orb and all of that. So that was the first manifestation of the Mr. Voodoo logo and that concept. And I had did that for that first jump off. Yeah.
If you I don't know if y'all did any shirts, but if you do a shirt, I'd love that on a shirt. And same with this one too.
Yeah.
You did
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
one too?
Yeah, no. Now
Oh,
that
this is somebody
happened to
else.
come about because
So,
my manager at the time, Trevor Baldwin, who I had mentioned earlier, was like, "Yo, I got somebody that can take that design and that thing that you want." Because I had always told him what I was trying to do with the logo. I wanted to do kind of like this thing and cooking up things in the pot,
Mm.
and he was like, I got somebody. So I forget, I don't remember the dude's name or who it was. That was Trevor's homeboy and someone that he knew. He took the basic design that I had, and he said he added the turntables, the speaker, the mic. There's even a notepad
yeah.
in there if you look closely, with
Man.
pens and all of that stuff in it. And he elaborated on it and made it, way doper than I could have imagined. So
I mean,
that's where it came from.
you look at the label on that record, and you just know what it's going to be about. You just know it's something
Yeah.
you got to listen to.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I wanted to always, like we always in kind of had thoughts of the complete picture. So, we have the
Yeah.
music, but what can we do? The music might not necessarily sell itself. So and
Right.
we don't have the means to like get it. So what can we do? We have to make it visually like attractive to the eye to catch the eye. And I thought always that logo and logo art is one way that you can get people kind of like to take, even just to take a look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like double look, like, yo, what's that? You
Yeah.
know? So yeah,
Speaking of that, I got a follow-up question to ask you about that.
yeah.
DJ Premier put this track on Reality Check 101. Was it 97?
I believe so. I believe
What kind
that,
of
yeah.
Oh, do you have that queued up, Drew?
I thought it was Shine.
It is Shine.
It's
But what
Shine.
happened-
It's
Oh,
Shine.
okay.
What
My bad.
happened? They
Okay, so
missed-
It's all good. It's all good.
No,
Yeah.
this is what
the
happened.
track list
Yeah.
said Lyrical Tactics, but it was
Exactly.
Yes.
I tell you, they missed it.
right.
They
Where I was
messed it
going,
up.
where I was going with that is what kind of exposure did that give you guys being on Premier's tape? Did that generate a lot of attention for y'all?
It did, but you know what? Here's the thing with Primo. He was a big supporter from like day one. He was one of the first guys that played the first Come Off Hard Part 1. He was one of the first guys. As a matter of fact, the first time I heard my song on mainstream radio, it was Primo that was playing it when he was on BLS. You know what I'm saying? So Primo was always aware, and had his ear to that side of things. You know what I'm saying? But when he did that, it kind of solidified us as being, these dudes are legit.
Yeah.
It kind of like it's saying that we're getting acknowledgement now from peers, people that we look to up to aspire to be like. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, he was always. I remember I had seen him in some record shop, and we started chopping it up, and he was like, "Yeah, I remember that, man. I always liked the way you rap, man. It ain't nothing." You know what I'm saying? So it was like my head went like boom. All right, yeah, But yeah, it did kind of like, that amongst many things. I mean, even Guru, like they was on BET saying, yo, one of our favorite groups now is a group that y'all don't know nothing about. That's Natural Elements. You know what I'm saying? So like people calling me, yo, Guru just picked y'all up on Rap City. And I'm like, zoom, big head turning big, like I'm the shit. What? We the shit. What? You kidding me? But he always played he was like always one of those DJs, one of those dudes that wasn't afraid to support the little guys. You know what I'm saying? These dudes that have a tremendous amount of talent. They doing dope things, and if it's dope, I'ma play it. I'ma support it. He's really, truly, hip hop,
Yeah, he's a fan. You can tell he's a big fan. Always has been a big fan of music. Not just doing his own thing, but
Right.
he had like was it Crooklyn Cuts? He had the
Crooklyn, yeah.
I think a Natural Elements or Mr. Voodoo track was on one of those.
It's crazy to me because I love this type of like indie hip hop. I try to get all the 12 inches I have, like that I don't know. And it's crazy to go back and look at his track list. It's like, man, he was up on this stuff from day one. Like
definitely,
like representing it. I see beat miners kind of in the same way in Buckwild, with a lot of the underground artists with their mixtapes and stuff too. But especially Premier, he was just a fan of the music. You could tell he just was geeked about the music.
Definitely.
Yeah,
So
I had it
that was great.
I wanted to make sure we talked about it because I would suspect or had the feeling like to have it, kind of get that cosign was
every interaction I've had with him, every time we've bumped into each other, it's always like that, like, yo, I really like the stuff that y'all doing. I really like the way that y'all kick it and do, you know what I'm saying? So he's always had that. Whenever he could, he's always done, supported, guys like us, like NEL, Swigger, and A, and a plethora of other artists,
Yeah, I was curious, like I'm kind of jumping a bit, but were there any other artists or groups? Like I know you mentioned in the other interview, like Brother J, Cool G Rap, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, maybe as influences, but I was curious about others from like the underground or independent like era, like 90s like
See, but
contemporaries that you like
mhm.
really respected, or maybe even still listen to or revisit now, like um
um you name it. I mean, you name it, you name them. I'm listening to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We rub elbows with some of these guys, and we know them. But you name it, I'm listening to them. Whether it's Talib Kweli,
mm,
whether it's there's so many of them. It's so many of them.
Yeah.
And even but my influences, if we talking about underground rappers and things like that, might be a little bit beyond what, because like me and Shaw are like the elders and the older ones of the group, so we can maybe go a little bit further back, you know what I'm saying? So like, and when I talk
Mhm.
about like guys like Sir Ibu from, the divine force, and songs like
it was like
Holy
holy
Wars,
war, yeah.
guys
Yeah.
might not understand and know that was a big influence for me. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying?
mhm,
Yeah.
Guys like Lord Shafiq with My
My
Mic Is
mic
on
is on fire.
Fire,
mhm,
Yeah, I love
and
that.
things like
Yeah.
that, like when I talk about those being the guys at on an underground level that
Yeah.
influenced me, a lot of people don't really know, because I might be going a little bit further back than they can, so like, but I've never really had the chance, beyond here, to like really big those dudes up, because it's
Yeah.
those dudes that I was actually listening to on the
Yeah.
underground radio stations, like guys like with P Fine and
mhm,
Hank Love and,
mhm,
Awesome Two. And,
Yeah.
when it was really a small, um, burgeoning thing, you know what I'm saying? And it felt special
Yeah.
to me. Like I was up on something that y'all don't know nothing about this, like y'all need to be listening to My
Yeah.
Mic Is on Fire, or y'all need to be
Yeah.
listening to Holy Wars, you know what I'm saying? And even
Yeah.
dudes like I knew, like Grand Poobah and the Masters of the Ceremony. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that was stuff that I was listening to, as I was coming up as an adolescent, and really like influenced by all of that, And then of course,
Yeah.
yeah, Brother Jay and
To the Supreme.
wise, intelligent, poor, righteous teachers, all the
Yeah.
conscious stuff, because I would consider myself a conscious rapper before even all of this, and before there was a such thing as a conscious rapper, I was
Mhm.
always rapping about intelligent things. And you can see it through my lyrics, you know what I'm saying? I was
Yeah.
always rapping about the sciences and the liberation struggle and things like that. But I
Yeah.
chose to kind of push that there and emphasize that I'm an MC. Respect me for the fact that I have lyrics. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll
Right.
come and hit you with some knowledge and hit you with some things that I know. But
Mhm.
yeah, those are the guys that really influenced me, like, though that type of underground.
Thanks. Charlemagne, did you have something to
Yeah.
add there?
I was just saying, you might have forgotten the Supreme Team. They used to be on it at 3 a.m.
Supreme Team. Oh hell yeah, Supreme Team. I forgot all about them. They was
Yeah,
a huge influence, huge influence, um,
Yeah.
you know, um, and in my adolescence, listening to them, and I used to, like when Buffalo Gals came out, and when Malcolm McLaren did all that stuff with them, like we was kind of all bugging, like, yo, isn't that them dudes that's
There
on
you go. Yeah.
WBHI? Like, yo, that's crazy, because we were all, like I said, as little kids, we were listening to this stuff. We never saw them, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But we had that connection because we was just listening. Our imagination, it just it did everything.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I threw this one on here was mostly because of the logo again, just being a visual person. I just thought that was such a dope logo. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's tied to Tommy Boy and you can't use it, but again,
yeah,
if you
yeah,
guys use it and put it on a t-shirt, I would love to have that. I was
yeah.
curious.
That was
Go ahead.
Tommy Boy's department. I think the Tommy Boy they had a kind of like an art department, the visual department that did that, and
Yeah.
that was how that actually came about.
Did you know Dante Ross before kind of him sort of A&Ring you guys to Tommy Boy, or I think it was a demo deal y'all signed, right?
Yeah.
That was the
Actually, that was through our through my lawyer.
Okay.
Um, I was
I think.
he's a big time lawyer. Theo Saddlemeyer.
Hmm.
Theo Saddlemeyer. Initially, what happened was I was one of his first clients, and so he was shopping. He was shopping my demo, and we were trying to get a deal at that time. And Dante Ross was one of the guys that had heard us, and Dante Ross was also one of the guys who was around seeing us move around as a group and
Yeah.
came and said, "Yo, that I want to record y'all as a
I
group."
guess that's
You
what I
know
was
what I'm
curious about.
saying?
If you kind of knew him sort of
Yeah.
before that, like kind of.
Yeah. He was always in, he was another one of those guys that always was there on the scene and had his ear to the underground, the underground, like guys like us, you know what I'm saying, and things of that
Yeah.
nature.
So I was just thinking about this. How did that work with, if I aim, correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all basically recorded an album that was going to be released on Tommy Boy at one point. It
Right.
got shelved,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So how did
Yes.
how did that process come about to where you actually could get the rights to release that record? Was it about like 7 years ago?
I think they got the
Hmm.
masters
More
right
recently?
when you
Hmm.
left.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it
Your
was.
lawyer got the masters, right? It kind of.
Yeah, Theo
Yeah.
Saddlemeyer, and incredible feat, credible lawyer. What
Yeah.
he did was he was able to structure a deal where we would retain ownership of the masters if the
Oh,
label released us. Now, you know, um, I don't know how he was able to secure that, but he definitely was able to secure that so that when that deal fell through and when things fell through, we were able to leave with the masters.
yeah.
I
so
thought this
before
story was pretty. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Charlamagne.
you continue with that, wasn't Dante Ross responsible for the Def Jam demo?
Yes, he was. Yes,
So the
Dante
first
Roy.
nation of Natural Elements was Mr. Vu, Ka, and L Swift.
That's right. That's
That
right.
demo, like
And
a song demo deal over at Def
Huh.
Jam before
yes,
this, before the
yes,
time.
Oh, wow.
right, right. It must be said that before Dante Ross came into the picture and offered us that demo deal, Natural Elements was a clique. It was not formally a group. Even, like though we were going everywhere with each and we were performing and we had songs together, there was
Mhm.
no Natural Elements officially until that demo deal. And even with that demo deal, nobody actually knew of a Natural Elements clique of a group until Shine, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Shine was where we officially came out to the world and said, yo, this is when you hear this is Natural Elements forever, Shine. You know what I'm saying? So when we mention Natural Elements, we mention Natural Elements as a clique before that, but officially as a group, Shine would have been the first official record with Natural Elements as a group. And that was me,
Okay.
myself, Swigger, A Butter, and Essence.
Hmm.
The original members of Natural Elements under that demo deal was actually myself, Swigger, and Ka. And the reason that came about and the reason that Dante approached us on that was because Swigger and Ka were with me everywhere. So if I'm performing, if I'm going to a radio thing, if I'm doing anything, those guys are coming with me. You get what I'm saying? I wanted to bring everybody, but everybody was doing their own thing and they had things going on with themselves. But those two guys were the guys that were like there. They were always consistently there. I had Ka and L on one of the greatest songs that I've ever done, and that's Hemlock.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you know, they were always making those contributions to what I was doing. And so Dante seen us in shows and he's seen the rapport and the chemistry we had. And he was like, yo, y'all should just be a group. Yo, if y'all, I tell you what, I'll give y'all this dome, such and such. Y'all go in the studio, record songs. Let's see what happens. And that's how that thing came about. So yeah, Ross did play an important part in that process. You know,
Mm.
definitely.
And then
Yeah, and that's his label you got pulled up, the Stimulated with the
yeah,
with
this I
that.
want. I
That
saw,
came
and
out of yes.
you were like one
Which
of
it's funny.
Alchemist's first
I got this one
clients,
sitting
right?
here too. I just happen to have this one
Oh,
sitting.
no doubt. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this came on the heels of the NE situation. It was kind of a lull in that. I don't think that we had actually parted ways with Tommy Boy yet, because I remember um Trevor having to get to work out something with Tommy Boy where I could slide off and do that one. It was a one shot thing with Dante Ross. Now what had happened was you know, Dante Ross happened to be, you know, another one of those guys that was always like, yo, Vu is dope. You know what I'm saying? Vu is dope. I would really like to, you know, work with him, you know, as an artist. So initially his way of beginning to do that was to introduce a group, because he needed a group for his situation. And then eventually we'll work into maybe doing, you know, a Vu solo, a Ka solo, a Swigger. So, you know, like these were the mechanisms that were in place. These were the things that we were talking about when we were conceptualizing Natural Elements in its early stages with Ka, L, and Vu.
Yeah.
But from that experience, you know, he had always wanted to like kind of like work with me and do something in some capacity. So when he had did the stimulated dummies thing, he was actually, you know, doing a couple of different people, a couple of artists, and I actually happened to be one of the people that he wanted to work with. And then he connected me with a young burgeoning alchemist, you know,
I was
who
about
had
to say.
just yeah. And you know, it was it the with alchemists, it was interesting because I spent a lot of time with him when we did this. I would go to his crib. You know, he had the ASR 10 at that time, you know, with so he was influenced by Muggs, who had the Casio, but he had the ASR 10. So he's chopping up things on his ASR 10 and spreading it out on the keys, and I'm watching him put stuff together, and he put stuff together, and he'd be like, yo, you like that, Vu? And I like, yo, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? And I would take it and live with it. And then from that process, that's how we got Lyrical Tactics Part 2, which is actually the trilogy, the third part in the trilogy, in the Come Off Hard Lyrical Tactics trilogy, and then Crime Life, which I had always wanted to do with Shaw, because we have another version of that, which is crazy. But I couldn't do that. And we couldn't do that. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna parlay that into this song and do some lyrics with that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how that whole thing came about.
Man, I gotta apologize. I'm gonna have to dip out in a few minutes.
No doubt.
Speaking of the radio thing, I have a radio show starting at 7.
No
But
doubt.
where I was going with that is, you know, I got a lot more questions to ask you guys about like the Fortress era and all that, but
No doubt.
I might have to do a part 2. I might have to DM you guys
Oh,
about that
yo, I'm
stuff.
with it. I'm with it.
But I've been wanting to know the album that you guys dropped most recently. What's the what was the genesis of that? Or what was the situation that took place that let you guys all come together again and create a whole project like that?
Well, we'd always been. We never really stopped, you know.
Right.
That in that particular one, was sort of like where we kind of went on a hiatus because of the Tommy Boy situation. So we spent a few years kind of apart, but not really apart,
Mhm.
because when I was doing this stuff like the come up and stuff with my man Louis Ortiz, you know,
Mhm.
L was still in the picture. L would drop by, you know what I'm saying? He got familiar with Louis and they developed a relationship, you know what I'm saying? And so we were always kind of looking at what each one was doing, but at that time we were also kind of like finding our way in this, you know what I'm saying? Because it was like we were kind of like after the confusion of the label situation with Tommy Boy,
Yeah.
it was kind of like where do we go? What do we do after this? You know what I'm saying? Did we put a lot of time and energy into this, So
Mhm.
that was a time of transitioning and discovering, what it was that we were capable of, and what our true sense of who we really were. And so
Mhm.
we were never really apart. We were always contacting and doing, but then we started to
Yeah.
realize when there were leaks of the album that we did with Tommy Boy, there were leaks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like people had it. We was
Yeah.
like, yo, and then they were asking, and there was a demand, and they was like, yo, this should have came out, man. This is crazy. You heard that? Yo, did you hear the
Yeah.
demo? And and so now there's a buzz and there's things happening, and people are coming at L and A, and people are coming at me. And then we're like, okay, so this really is a thing. We're not
Mhm.
imagining things. The the
Yeah.
the years and the things that we did, it wasn't a dream. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't some,
Yeah.
Mandela effect type shit. So
Yeah.
we need to parlay this into something that, we can make work. You know what I'm saying? And as you know, and the game has changed and things have changed in the way the business is. So that kind of was what kind of like was the prerequisite to us getting back and starting to record and doing little
Yeah.
EPs and things like that, So
So on the most recent LP that was dropped, when were most of those tracks recorded? Was that kind of like over a longer period of time, or was that mostly recent stuff?
it was actually over a period of time, because what we were doing, we would do like maybe 3 songs at a time, put it out as an EP, do another 3 songs at a time, put it out as an EP. We did
Yeah.
this thing called Death Comes in Threes. So we would do a couple of
Yeah.
releases in threes. And then, but what we were doing was we were building up a catalog. We were building up songs, and then eventually we bundled all of that into a project, and we threw that out on people, and it was well
Yeah.
received, but and
Yeah.
then from
Yeah.
there everything was a step towards going to the next level. So we trying to take it to the next level of the progression of things with these most recent releases and things that we're
Yeah.
doing, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
yeah, we were never really, it wasn't really like ever apart or ever a breakup with any, you know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
just went and we did certain things on and different paths, but we were always interconnected. We were always looking at, yeah, I'll be on your, yeah, you want me to do a verse on it? Yeah, yeah, let me come do a verse on your and hey,
Yeah.
hey, you need me to do something? Okay, yeah, let's go and I'll get on there and do that. So, to keep the NE, the vibe, and knowing that we're still here. You know what I'm
And
saying?
that and
So
that's all Charlemagne too, right?
yeah,
Production.
well, a lot of it is a
Yeah.
lot of it
I mean
is,
the
yeah.
new. Yeah.
The new stuff is all Shaw. Yeah. The
Yeah.
Alive and Well is not Shaw, but this
Yeah.
is not a drill. We can
Yeah.
exist. The
Yeah.
TTP, TT KD remix, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's Shaw, I mean, Shaw's a part of the group, you know what I'm saying? He's the fourth
Yep.
member. He
Yep.
he's who was the dude? He's the fifth Beatle.
Mhm,
You know
mhm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My man, you know, that was like the fifth
Yeah.
Beatle. He
Oh,
that's
like the engineer producer. You talking about?
yeah, DJ, yo,
Yeah.
whatever. He's a part of the group. He's a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
important part
Yeah,
of the
for
group,
sure.
you
Well,
know.
yeah, I mean, it's synonymous with me. I mean, if I see Charlemagne on the credits, I mean, I know it's like official. Like this
Official
is like
NE, yeah,
yeah,
official
yeah,
NE. It ain't official NE without Shaw, you know.
yeah.
So
But
yeah,
hey,
we went back, we came back home with those,
but
you
hey,
know.
I gotta get off camera. I apologize.
No doubt, no
I
doubt,
really enjoyed chopping it up with you guys.
no
Man,
doubt.
love hearing these stories, and I think it's great that you guys are still engaged like you are with the art
Thanks,
form.
thanks,
Man,
thanks.
it just
It's a
shows that
blessing to be able
you're in a
to be
blessing.
still be here after all this time and generate some interest. You know, it's a blessing. It tells me, and I guess it tells the rest of the fellas that, you know, we was doing something right, you know.
Sam, appreciate you co-hosting. He's got Journey Through the Crates on WRAR, and then he's
Yeah,
got a
No
gig
doubt,
tonight later on. So
no
he's got to
doubt.
hop off. Charlemagne, if you got to hop off,
yeah,
that's totally cool too. Appreciate
Yeah,
you coming
cool.
through. And Mr. Vu, if you can
yeah.
hang on, I got some more
Sure, I
questions.
can.
If you got
Yeah,
time,
sure,
that's
sure.
cool.
Yeah, I got time. Yeah.
All right,
Appreciate it.
salute, fellas. Be good.
All right, peace.
Salute.
Like we didn't even talk about the lyrical tactics source verse.
Ah,
Want me to back up?
Yeah.
yes, my
Is it
man.
this one or the first lyrical tactics
First,
First lyrical tactics. Choosing lyrical.
right
Yeah,
here?
there we
yeah,
go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he got quotable in the source.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I saw that on journalist Sincere's interview too. The
Yeah,
hip hop
yeah,
quotable
yeah,
for
yeah,
force.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You know, didn't expect that to happen. You know, I thought they was going to quote Hemlock or something. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, Hemlock is my favorite. You know what I'm saying? Like I just always felt like that's me at my apex. But you know, lyrical tactics was a song that me and Shaw campaigned for.
Right. I
And
heard you
I'm
say
gonna
that.
say that, yeah, we campaigned for that song because it was like nothing else that was out at that time, you know. And by that time, people were caught up in that whole bad boy thing, you know what I'm saying? And they were caught up in that whole thing, you know what I'm saying? And we felt that even at that point, this thing was losing its rawness, you know. It was steering toward a direction where it was becoming sort of generic. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
it was losing that rawness, that edginess that drew so many people to it in the first place. And we wanted to create something like that. You know what I'm saying? Where it was edgy. It had still had that rawness to it. And lyrical tactics was the best expression of it. And I think that's why people gravitated to that and it really received the type of light that it did, you know. But I
Charlemagne, did you have
personally
something?
never,
Go
but
ahead.
I personally never felt that that was lyrically my best. I'm not even going to lie to you. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying?
mm.
I was like, yo, but what about Hemlock?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? What if I was saying something on there? Why nobody heard that? You know, why this one? But we did campaign hard for it, and it was worth it. We knew.
My, on my side, just thought it was an incredible feat coming from a
Yeah.
underground label. I mean, just guys with regular jobs. And Mr.
Hmm.
Cool, we already knew that he was dope. We already knew he had the bars to, go with anybody. You know what I mean? So I always believe in my guys against anybody, any
Mm.
commercial, any regular, any underground rapper. Be like, yo, any one of my guys could take him out. So when he did that, it was like, yo, let's do something different. And I know you remember this. People were
Yeah,
like, y'all want to release that? This is whack.
yeah,
We didn't
yeah,
even get the idea for it. They're like, I'm like, nah, this is dope. Y'all don't get it.
yeah.
Like, let's
Uh-huh.
see the results. And I think it was
Yeah.
just probably just us two. I don't know if there's anybody else. That was,
Nobody else. Yeah, it was us too. We was like, nah, you
we
kidding
got
me? We going with this.
off. The sample is off. You hear a little dun 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 in there, and then
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it was DJ Riz who did the scratches or whatever.
It
But
was
I was
Riz. It was Riz. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like, yo, this is crazy. Like, no one has nothing like this out here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do something crazy. And then
Yeah.
it came out,
It's
and
yeah. It still slaps, and that's the testament because I haven't I had to give it a listen, and with different ears, I'm listening to this, and I'm like, this is kind of not like anything anybody was doing at that time. Like I had to say to myself, damn, well, what the fuck was we on? you know but yeah, we was on it, we was on it, we was off it, we was on it, you know what I'm saying? And we campaigned, me and Shaw campaigned for it. We was like, nah, this is dope. This is dope.
Charlemagne, did you have anything else you wanted to say about this? Are you okay with me moving on, or do you need to
you can
drop
move
off?
on. I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure that it was talked about because it was something that
Yeah.
was so mental in our growth. Because like after
Hmm.
that, now we're good. We're on the
Yeah.
source page. It was dope. Like
Yeah, yeah,
nothing can
yeah,
stop us. Please don't tell me
yeah,
nothing about my
yeah.
guys.
And actually in that same issue, they had the single, and they did another write-up about Shine, which cemented and which formally introduced everybody, because they were like, yo, side B got this joint on there. Y'all need to hear. It's the other members, it's Natural Elements. And this is what it is. This is, y'all need to be checking for that,
Right, and just
and that
one more sentence about it was,
Mhm.
I think that writer was by the infamous Elliot Wilson.
that's
That's dope.
right. That's right. That's right. Yep. Yep.
Um, so I'll kind of go through these a little quicker since we're running over a bit, but this is Agu 2002 to come up.
Right. To come up. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That was a
feel free to
side.
say anything you want about any of these, as I kind
Okay,
of
yeah,
go on.
that side, that was a transitional period for me. I was working with my man Louis Ortiz, man, Louis LDR, that's my boy, not only as a person that I work with, but as a friend, and a true brother. And we met through work, actually through jobs, and then he discovered through another coworker who I was, and he was like, "Yo, I had
Yeah,
no
so I've
idea
heard that
who
story.
you."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I had no idea this was you. Do you know that I've been listening to your stuff? I'm a big fan. I do beats. I do this, that, and the third. And I'd be honored if you come through, check out what I'm doing. I went there, checked out what he was doing. I actually liked what he was doing and decided to work with him. And that's how we developed our relationship. And I wound up putting out a couple of joints with him,
When
you
did
know.
you guys get like a sense of like your like international fan base or following? Like I'm down in Virginia, but I know like we have folks that check the podcast that like are from
Yeah.
other countries. Like I've
Hmm.
sold records a lot of the time,
Hmm. Hmm.
internationally. It's like
Hmm.
I don't, like
Um,
this goes to somebody in Japan, this goes to somebody in Switzerland. It's like
hmm. Hmm.
it's crazy.
the main way for me that I began to realize was, like solicitations like yourself, you know what I'm saying? But it would be like from people in London, it'd be
Mhm,
like people from Glasgow, like Scotland somewhere, or
mhm,
people
mhm.
from Japan, you know what I'm saying? And you get these things and you get these solicitations, and you're like, wait a second, y'all are feeling this and y'all all the way over there, and y'all are
Yeah.
feeling it and y'all are all the way over there, and then we went overseas and did a couple of things for, we did the Rockskilldom festival one year, you know what I'm saying? And we circulated our music in throughout, you know what I'm saying, selling little bullshit, little tapes and stuff like that, or demos and
Mhm.
stuff that we had, and passing it around. And so, you know, um, that was where the sense of the international, level of NE, the appeal, the international appeal, that we had.
Mhm.
It always came from the accolades that we received. It was never like we actually just went out and solicited it and was like, yo, check us out, check out
Right.
what
You
we
weren't
doing,
promoting it. You were hearing that other
yeah,
people were feeling it.
right.
Yeah.
We were just hearing it, we would just
Yeah.
hear it, we would just
But
see it.
I think,
We
Or
I think
get
y'all
on
people
a
reach out. Mhm.
Y'all went on tour with Eclipse. Uh,
Right, yeah. We went on tour with Eclipse. There was a couple of dates with the Roots, and we interacted with other artists, you know what I'm saying? Dilated Peoples, it was there. There was a bunch of different artists, and we went around the whole Scandinavia part of the world, and that's how they got familiar with us over there. And then during my days as Mr. Voodoo, I didn't realize that there was people actually, outside of my world that were actually listening to this stuff, and they was digging it, So there was a following developing in places like London and
Mm.
Japan and all of these different areas, and it was just people hearing it and liking what they was hearing.
Yeah, that's dope.
you know
The next one was 2004, I think. Let the
right.
World Know EP.
Yes, yes. That's
That's
to let the world know.
Hemlock, your own label, right?
It was, yeah, it was sort of like a thing that I had just put out there. It wasn't like a real label, you know what I'm saying? It was just something that I had put out there. It was an idea that I had formulated in my mind. If that's what I would want, whatever it is that I'm situated in to be about, you know what I'm saying? Hemlock. Because like I said, I always felt like Hemlock was me at the apex of my lyricism,
Hmm.
but it also described everything that I was, in terms of what, I was trying to put out there, like, because hemlock is like the thing that you get from the plant, and it's a poison, but it's also have these healing properties, and it's been used throughout the centuries. And in terms of, it's even in Shakespeare, the witches was using it to like kind of like poison the king, you know what I'm saying? So I was playing with all of these elements of that word, like I'm the guy that's going to feed in the poison that's going to kill the dude that you think is the king.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then, but I also have there's also this other thing about it that makes you feel good. It has the healing properties and all of that. So that was what I was rolling with when I did that. And this was just the EP to put out to see, you know, where people that know Mr. Vu, where they're at with it. You know what I'm saying? Are you still looking and still wanting to hear something from
Right.
me? You know what I'm saying? And so I was working with my man LDR again, and we did that. You know what I'm saying? And we actually got some distribution for that. I think it was Red Line Distribution we were working with at that time, if I'm correct. A dude, my dude Jamie, he's a real cool dude, and he was like, "Yeah, I know who you are. You know what I'm saying? And if you're gonna do it, then I'll definitely help you out." So
Mm.
he helped us out with that situation, and I actually think that Louis still has some copies of that vinyl sitting around somewhere. So,
This
but
might be a
that
good
was
time to ask this question.
yeah,
You you said the labels, I think, kind of struggle to find like an angle or a way to like market you and Natural Elements. Like
right,
you yourself, even in when we talked last night briefly, like called the group like an enigma, which I thought, you
yeah,
being a lyricist is, perfect word choice. But so
mhm,
like say you were running a label and you had to have an image, like how would you promote or market yourself or the group? Like I guess I think you talked about, we're no gimmicks, we're just beats and lyrics,
right,
like we're
yeah,
giving you
yeah,
that like
yeah,
the raw hip
yeah,
hop. Like
yeah, and I think that when you look at you know groups like us, and and you look at like maybe like groups like, what was the gimmick for a group like a Tribe Called Quest?
right.
you know I can't think of any gimmick. You could
I
say,
think it's
oh,
just
they
that
were
they had
native tongues over
connection.
saying,
Yeah,
but they
they had
had a
some connection.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a vibe, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? If you don't understand that it's a vibe, and that's why I say that there's an enigma, it's an enigmatic thing. It's not something that you can like just tangibly like just be like, okay, this is it, you know what I'm saying? But it's there and it's dope, and just let the people feel it. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Let the people absorb it, let the people consume it. you know Everything that we do will sell itself. Okay, well, yeah, I'm the guy that comes in this angle, and yeah, A is the guy that comes from this angle, and yeah, Swig is the guy that comes from, he the sativa and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we're all three, but that's all three distinct individuals. What we do is what matters is what we put together as a unit. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So like that was always the issue. Like how,
How
there's
do you
no
market
gimmick.
that? How do you market
The
that
gimmick
brand
is
yourself?
that
Yeah.
there's no gimmick. Yeah.
Right.
And how do so that's always why, and that was also goes back to the whole idea with Hemlock.
Mhm.
Hemlock switches the focus from it being, oh, well, what happened to this dude? What's the story outside of this? Was he shot? Did he sell drugs? Did he do this? Did he? It's no, we shift the focus from all of that to a quality product,
Mhm.
something that's dope. You know what I'm saying? And no matter what, that will always be the thing at the end of the day. That
Mhm.
is it dope?
Yeah.
Is it quality? You know what I'm saying? Like I used to say, you know, you can wrap a pile of shit in the beautifulest wrappings,
Right.
right? You can put it in the greatest trappings, but when you strip that shit bare and you open it up, it's still a piece of shit,
Mhm. I think in
you
the
know.
the
And
the
so
Jake
like,
what?
mhm. And so like, but what I'm saying is that if we get to beyond the superficial thing of gimmicks and all the other things, and we break it down to and strip it of all its trappings, and you still have dopeness, you know, it is what it is. It
Right.
speaks for itself, you know.
In the Jay Smooth, interview with Natural Elements, he kinda called, I think it was, like, maybe Fortress as, like, the MCU, and then, Natural Elements as, what was it? The Avengers, I think, and Charlemagne, you
Yeah,
said
yeah,
you really like that analogy, I think, being a comic book head.
yeah, yeah.
Did you have any more thoughts on kind of like, maybe again, maybe if you ran a label, like how would you market the group, or is it kind of like Mr. Voodoo was saying, like you're just trying to put out dope music at the end of the day, like.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm trying to do. Put out
Mhm.
dope music. It was never really. In fact, when Fortress first started, we said it. That was our
That was
tagline.
our title. Yeah, that was
No
our thing. Strictly
skills.
lyrics, no gimmicks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
So it's bars.
no doubt.
New York Straight Talk, Chopped Herring put that out.
Yeah, he found a tape.
Mm,
And he approached me and he was like, "Yo, I found your tape. What you want to? Can I do this?"
yeah.
I said, "Yeah. Well, I mean, why not? I'm not doing nothing now. You know what I'm saying? I I didn't have none of that stuff. I'm like, where did you find this tape? He said, yo, there's a guy somewhere in Greenland that it's your tape.
Mm,
I was like, Greenland. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh, that was when we was out there doing that thing with Eclipse that I just talked about. And we had these little cassette demos that we was selling at each of the dates.
mhm,
And we'd be like, yo, if you like what y'all heard, yo, come get our demo. We got a tape to sell. And we sold those tapes off. I didn't know that somebody all these years later would still have that tape. And mind you, the demos are that those songs, Straight Talk, the Denise Williams Crime Life, all of that is finding its way on YouTube and on the internet. And I don't have none of this stuff. And I'm wondering, like, yo, how did they getting this stuff? Where's it coming from? You know?
mm,
But like I said, once again, it was the people that was keeping this stuff alive. Dudes from Greenland, some dude from, maybe from Florida somewhere that remembers listening to college radio, or
mhm,
some kids that were listening to, you know, um, the underground radio stations in New York, and they was taping this stuff and they still had it, and their love of it, you know what I'm saying, and their and the I guess the dopeness of it that stood the test of time. They just put it out there. So that's what helped facilitate this because I didn't have possession of any of that stuff. And I'm like, yo, how do you get in this stuff? You
Yeah.
know? And he was like, trust me. He's one of the dudes, the dude at Chop Herring is also one of the dudes that made me see that this is an international thing we doing.
Right. Global.
This thing is maybe a little bit bigger than we actually, you know, imagined and thought it was, you know.
We just had a bunch of folks come in. DJ Cruise One just rated the channel with like 140 people. Big up DJ Cruise One out of Boston.
No doubt. Thank
Rob
you.
Boombastic repping Detroit, also in the building.
No doubt.
That's the Twitter.
DJ Cruise One said he just played a Natural Element song to get everybody familiar.
No doubt.
Says he's still got all the records.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Big up DJ Cruise One. Big up Rob Boombastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next one was the extra demos, another Chopped Herring joint.
Yeah, that also came off of the demos that he got. Okay, so now this is what we had. We had A Butter, we had Swigger, and we had Mr. Vu. Each one of us, even before Natural Elements, we had songs. Right? You understand, we were doing songs with Charlemagne for a long time. I have an extensive catalog of songs with Charlemagne, right? And so these are the songs and these are the demos that we were selling when we would do those dates, right? And so now he has that tape that has that stuff. So initially he says, okay, I want to do these songs, boom, 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 boom. And then I also had other stuff that I was doing with LDR, you know, so it was just like a hodgepodge of me being all over the place and having all of this stuff all over the place. Now, mind you, they were only demos. They weren't official songs.
Right.
But you know, he's a niche type of a dude and that's his thing. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, I still want to do it. So I was like, okay, let's do it then. Let's do it. And that's how that came about.
Somebody just said they came in from, I think, Jazzy Jeff's channel, the Maceo's channel, the Cruise One. I think, did I hear that you went to school with Maceo? Is that right?
Mace is a childhood friend. Okay. We were in junior high school together. This was before he had moved out to Amityville, right? He actually was I believe, and you know, he can correct me anytime. He lived in Bushwick, and I'm from Bed-Stuy. Bushwick and Bed-Stuy is very close to each other.
Oh, Charlemagne's jumping in. Go ahead. Oh, your phone's dying. You're about to drop off.
Oh, okay.
Second. All right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So me and the story, I don't know if because I had mentioned this in another interview with another guy. Mace was actually the guy who I saw that at that point I wanted to be a DJ, right? Because even when we was in junior,
sincere interview.
Yeah, because even as when we were in junior high school, like he would bring his equipment to the junior high, and I'm looking at like, yo, this dude, he's not older than he's not that we almost basically the same age, and he's doing this, and you know, so yeah, Maceo was one of the guys that influenced me also, you know what I'm saying, in terms of like actually seeing that it could be done, you know. And but by the time he had joined De La Soul and had done his thing with De La Soul, we hadn't seen each other for maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe, because I don't know exactly when he moved out to Long Island, but I know that after junior high and we all went our separate ways, his journey took him to Amityville, and that's, you know, where he went.
Charlemagne, I just want to thank you for joining us. You know, if you got to drop off, I appreciate it. We're running over a little bit.
No doubt.
We've been kind of going through the history of Mr. Voodoo and Natural Elements, and
no doubt.
So appreciate everybody joining us. We're just kind of wrapping up things. We touched on Death Comes in Threes a little bit earlier. Is there anything you wanted to say about that besides like 3 putting out kind of 3 tracks at a time. And
Yeah, the idea was Death comes in threes. We playing on this triple entendre thing with the threes, and Natural Elements is a trio, and we're gonna put out like all of these. We put out EPs of 3 songs. Death comes in threes, and then we will combine that together to create a complete body of work, and that's what that was all about.
nice. And then this is the latest one that I had on here. Was you were just featured on Mr. Sinister's Reborn album, which dropped earlier this year on Fat Beats.
Yeah, let me tell you something. That
What?
beat, yeah, that beat, and I'm gonna tell you why that beat is special to me, because when I heard that beat, there was a there was a beat that Charlemagne had made for me that was that exact sample, and I don't even know if Shaw remembers that. That and I
I
said,
thought it was
"Yo,
my
what
record.
the?" Yeah,
It was my beat.
yeah.
I'm like,
I said, "Yo, what the?" I said, "Yo, how could this be?" It bugged me out when I heard it, because when they gave me the beat, they was like, "Yo, Vul, we got the beat for you." And so when I heard the beat, I was like, "Wait a second." If I had Shaw's number at the time, I would have called him like, "Yo, Shaw, you got to listen to this joint, man. This is crazy." So the funny thing about that is that song is many, 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 many years old. It's a very old song. That song has to be more than 10 years old, and I had completely forgot about it. They had asked me to go in. They was doing a I guess they were doing like a X-Men album or something like that. And Mr. Sinister was a member of the X-Men, I think, at that time. So
Right.
they had Rock Raider had a joint with somebody, such and such had a joint with somebody. And the dude that was putting it together, who um I actually remember, because he was also a fellow radio cat. James, I think it was. He was a dude up in Stony Brook who we had to connect with, who was doing underground radio, but he actually transitioned into another situation, and he remembered, and he was like, "Yo, I want Vu to do something," and that's how that came about. That's an old song, and I had completely forgot about that. But that was actually an a song that was one of my favorites, in terms of it being a beat that I had remembered from back in the day that Shaw had did. You know what I'm saying? And but never ever being able to bless that and bring that in out into the light. You know what I'm saying? But it just gave me that nostalgic vibe, and so that's how that was with that one.
Mm, thanks.
Yeah,
That's it, man. We got we're gonna play the "This Is Not a Drill" Charlemagne remix
let's do it.
video on the way out.
Let's
Was there
do it.
anything else you wanted to mention or promote or push? Either you got it.
Um, Stay tuned for a Natural Elements album. It'll be out. It'll be coming. We right now in the mix down phase, getting the mixes done,
Mm,
trying to plot out, the basic, setup and get things together. We'll be doing we'll have I don't want to let anything out the bag yet. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna have another joint, to blast that off. It's gonna be something that y'all are familiar with, and y'all gonna love. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna bring you back to those days.
dope.
You know, it's gonna bring you back to that.
and
And
currently they
and
still have another song out currently. You know the vibes.
and we have the vibes, which was we was inspired by an Andre challenge, where he had challenged anybody to that wanted to sample and use the material to do so, and see what could happen. And something we did it, and something dope came out of that. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? And that's another Charlemagne production. And this is why we say that Charlemagne is a part of the group because he's integral to the process. There's no other. We'll work with other producers and we'd be definitely cool with that, but nobody can capture that thing like Charlemagne because he's just always been there for us. You know, he's day one. He knows he can look and know exactly, yo, boom, and be right on point with it. You know, and we don't, so that's how that came about, and so yeah, that's it. That's basically it. Me and Shaw gonna be collaborating on some things too. We trying to get the any album and focus on that right now. But what I know people want is me and Charlemagne. They never got that, and they gonna get it. And that I stand on that.
Dope. Charlemagne, thanks for hanging out with us and joining in the conversation. And Mr. Voodoo, I appreciate you taking all the time and answering all the questions. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Great.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
Peace.
Pandora's box is opening up. Sometimes you can't call the shots, just go in and buck. But this is not a drill, we focus as fuck. So when I pass it off the air, it's a goal with the puck.
Like Mark Messier holding the Stanley Cup in 1994. I'm a New York Ranger, blades of steel, soul on ice. I bring the battery in my back to life. Like a phone in rice, I'm charged up.
Positive and negative charge to spark up like electricity arc up. You fish lines and pull sharks up. Like Tony for a green card, I leave you carved up. Real good, toxic spit like endorphins, it feels good.
Real hood, veteran cause my elements brawl. Tell your bro if she sick to lick my medicine balls. Never y'all, we you pissing in a separate stall. It's better y'all than us, I'm fucking getting head in the mall.
Exposing fakes, we upsetting y'all. At my beck and they call the sticks is. Ask them who's the sickest. They know they wanna pick us, but act like they don't know all you hearing is crickets. Crimes committed by the dude with the cricket blood fitted.
Natural elements vintage. This is not a drill or scrimmage. Rocking and rolling like the myth of Sisyphus. I'm feeling like Danzig in the Misfits.
In sync, we are not the Backstreet Boys. This ain't the AIAE and we ain't Acme toys. Hold up. Yo, let Charlemagne live for a minute, you know what I mean? Yeah. Woo! Charlemagne live, yeah. Ho! Ain't whoa, back to the bars though. This is not a drill, but this is not a diss to the youth. But when A.E. drill, it's like we drilling the tooth. When we kill everything moving when we get in the booth. And after rhythm orders, you gon' smell a piss in the poop.
I have a few ideas to run by you, fool.
Spit the truth.
Some say it's a psyop, fake alien invasion.
Why not?
The biopsy revealed the body was AI generated.
You saying the Nephilim came to Earth and these rappers is artificially inseminated?
It's not beyond the realm of possibility.
It's a high probability.
Criminal culpability phrases coined in minute or fireworks that China invented. Dwarf the minute on anything vagina Senate. Creepers intended to leave you at the bottom of the river, feet cemented.
A.E. be the illest from analog to digital. Release or unreleased, our catalog is invincible. The natural elements that'll carry y'all to the pinnacle.
We maximum, you minimal. Stolen African mineral. Violated borders like drug trafficking criminals. Spirit goddess is a seminal. My potential to appear to you as God ain't intentional.
Wordplay interdimensional,
multi-dimensional,
extra-dimensional.
Figaro. My flow Ric Flair with the figure 4 leg lock. No liquor store, just homemade Puerto Rican eggnog.
Should we keep this one going infinitely?
Nah, let it rock. We giving them brain fog.